planet do you come from? Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies to you. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Julia. I'm a contemporary singing specialist based in Australia, and today I am going to be reacting to drumroll, Dimash. I'm going to be reacting to Dimash singing Sinful Passion. I've had quite a few requests for more Dimash in the comments, and I'm here to deliver on some more Dimash goodness. Before we get into this though, I would like to preface, in my last video, there were questions asking why I did not do more analysis to his singing, and the reason for that is I'm a contemporary singing specialist, and a lot of Dimash's vocal usage, particularly in his lower range, is very classical based. I can hear he's got classical training. Now, myself personally, I also have classical training. I trained classically for 8 years. However, I trained classically as a lyric soprano. So very, very different. And I also trained as a young lyric soprano. So my experiences with singing classical, I don't feel transfer into an inherent knowledge in the goings on when it comes to singing classically, particularly as a male. The closest that I will get to classical male singing is traditional musical theatre. So if there are times when you're like, why didn't she make a comment on that? Perhaps in this instance, it is outside what I am willing to comment on because it is outside of the area that I am specialized in. So I hope that that clears a few things up on why in my last video I didn't do as much of an analytical breakdown, and also I wanted to enjoy my very first react to Dimash. So what we shall do is hop straight into this react, but I did just want to preface with that. Of course, if there are contemporary sounds and contemporary techniques that he is using, I will do my best to break those down, but also not pause too much. I'll give you that one. I paused a fair bit in the previous one, but I didn't know where to pause. I'd never heard the song before. So hopefully I don't pause as much in this one. And of course, I will comment on the contemporary technique. So let's hop into it.
Ты явилась нежданно, как из лунного сна. О, если б знала ты, что мне нужна только ты одна. Ливни долгие лили, были ночи без сна, но в стуже сердце озарила, как весна, только ты одна. Долгим огнем пылать во мгле и в ненастье. Дай мне ночью и днем сгорать в костре грешной страсти. Ночь замкнула ресницы, и вокруг тишина. Забыты звуки, руки, лица. Мне нужна только ты одна. Околдован тобою, выпью зелье до дна, и ты вернешь меня из бездны в этот мир. Только ты одна. Долгим огнем пылать во мгле и в ненастье.
Okay, first pause of the video. I hope that that's not too much already. So the reason I wanted to pause there is because I just heard him use 3 different vocal textures on the same notes. So if we go back very quickly, here. Okay, so that first one, that is a very light mechanism. It's a very contemporary sound, if I'm being completely honest. That is closer to what you might hear in a contemporary pop male voice. And I love how he's balancing that because he's not actually in second register there. He is in first, but it is a very light mechanism. You could almost call it a mix. He's also got a little bit of aspiration coming over through the top of that sound. Now, it's very, very effective. If you use aspiration too much, sometimes that can come across as a little bit too breathy and you can lose the words, but we're not losing the words with him, and it's getting his effect across of this delicate, gentle sound of the word give me. So it's almost I don't want to use the word begging, but it's like a gentle request. Let's use the word gentle request instead of begging. But then we hit this second one, this one here, full classical sound. So the first one was very full. You could hear a lot of vibrato. That to me is leaning more towards your traditional classical, your traditional musical theatre sound. And then on the second one, he's starting to mix a little bit more. So his ability to take weight in and out of his voice, not just the weight of the vocal folds, but also the position of his larynx is incredible. I mean, one of the biggest misconceptions between classical singing and contemporary singing is not just the sound, but it's also the laryngeal position. For a classical singer to have that incredible amount of reverberation and vibrato, that particular classical sound, as we say, comes from having a lowered larynx, whereas a contemporary singer is going to have a neutral to high larynx, and I could hear him managing those transitions quite well in that one. So that's, to me, is more musical theatre. That little whip that he does at the top there, that's actually pretty clever for getting out of high notes like that. Although I will admit that the sound he's making at the top there is, you probably find it in some contemporary singing, perhaps not as much in classical. They like a little bit more space at the top there, but the fact that he's even accessing that is quite incredible, to be honest. So at the moment, his second register, as we've heard, is quite versatile. We've just gone from more of your classical countertenory type of sound all the way up into a more narrow, resonant, ringy, almost contemporary sounding voice at the top there. But we'll keep going. Come back to that later. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I kind of watched all of it the first time through. Whoopsies. Oh my god, we have to go back to this one section. We have to. I just want to double check something. There was this massive sustain note that he did, and then he went into a riff. The riff itself, I wouldn't say is like too crazy, because contemporary singer, I listen to a lot of R&B, soul, gospel artists, and their riffs get like next level crazy. But I certainly wasn't expecting it, considering the styles that he primarily introduced both in SOS and then in this one. I was not expecting that, even though his voice has been flexible in the previous one that I watched as well. But a riff, you need flexibility, accuracy, and agility. So you need those three if you want to do a riff well. And agility doesn't mean just go fast. It means control the speed that you want the notes to be moving at. So it's excellent control there. Regardless, I'm going back. That sound there, I don't hear that in most Western music, if I'm being honest. That is a world music thing. So the ability to keep your folds closed it's almost like if you exchange vibrato for a closed fold sound, you hear it in more traditional world music as opposed to your Western contemporary sound. So that, again, took me by surprise. He's a real like fusion artist. He's used contemporary techniques, he's used musical theater techniques, he's used classical operatic techniques. Opera and classical are not 100% the same. Opera falls under classical, but there are lots of different kinds of classical singing. The opera is actually the performance of an opera. So anyway, I want to check if he's breathing. So classical to mix. I don't think he breathed. I honestly don't, unless his control is so incredible he could take the quickest breath and get back into that mechanism. As you've probably noticed, he starts low and then works his way up through a mix. That's super healthy, super clever if you're wanting that mix to be lovely and balanced. He can also hit a mix like nail on the head as well, from what I've heard in this performance. But he moves up through it and it's perfectly balanced the entire time. Not too much mass, not too much breath flow, just keeping it like nice, like right in the sweet spot of the note of that coordination. Oh my god, he just held like a 20-second phrase. Damn classical lungs. Good for you, buddy. The riff itself is impressive, but the fact that he did it at the end, not even the end, that was not even the finished phrase yet. So he sang through those sustain notes and then he hit the riff and then he kept going. Like, that's some mad breath control. Oh my god, did the general vocal physics apply to you? I guess not. What planet do you come from? Oh my goodness. Anyway, so overall, real fusion artist. I was able to hear him use lots of different techniques from different styles. We had the world music. So think of like your country's traditional music. Different countries around the world have their own music style, such as a good example is like the Tibetan throat singing. That is a traditional sound from that particular region. You might not find that in, say, traditional Australia. Yeah. But my point is, incredible fusion artist, the ability to balance that, again, coordination to the max. I'm not going to comment on his range here because I feel like that speaks for itself, and from what I've read in the comments, his range is probably much bigger than this. And quite frankly, range is amazing, but you got to have that connection to the song to be able to deliver it, and sometimes too many vocal acrobatics without the right amount of emotional connection can disconnect me personally from a song. So in this one, as far as emotional connection goes, I was too busy listening to his voice and feeling just in a state of awe than connecting to him emotionally. I'd probably feel that emotional connection if I listened to it and watched it a few more times. But I feel like that's almost like a double-edged sword for him because his range and his technical ability is just, it's real high. If anyone said he couldn't sing, just, you can see yourself out. But I feel like that's a double-edged sword because you feel this, like, you go into this state of awe with what his voice is doing that can get in the way of an emotional connection to his performance. So I would love to see his performance ability with a really stripped back arrangement because his technique is there. The vocal prowess is clearly established, but I'd love to see a performance that's maybe stripped back so I can see how he emotionally engages a little better with his songs, because I do feel like that state of awe can separate you from the emotional connection. Just from first listen. I think I'd need to watch this just a few more times. Anyways, that is it from me today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this one. I like the fact that I could hear more of his low notes because in contemporary singing, we don't often hear those beautiful, warm, rich low notes as much from our contemporary male vocalists. There's a lot of emphasis on riffs and delicate falsetto and belting, which, I mean, we heard him use 3 different contexts in his first register and a mix earlier as I pointed them out. So I wonder what he'd be like if he was just singing like pure contemporary. Basically, I want to hear more. Anyway, guys, that is it from me today. I hope that you enjoyed that. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, click subscribe and the notification bell for more, and they will be heading right to you. As usual, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye!